Okay, let's demonstrate how you might create a custom bulb ornament. So I've got my file saved on Onshape here already and named it. Let's start with a sketch on the front plane. And let's draw a circle centered at the origin with a diameter of 80 millimeters. Make sure you're in metric. Again, to get to metric, go to your workspace units. In there you can change from inches to millimeters if needed. Okay, let's keep that in millimeters. And then let's go ahead and sketch another circle, still in sketch 1, centered at the origin. And let's make this one, let's offset that about 15 millimeters. So let's make this one 65. Okay. And then we're also going to want to have a place to hang our ornament. So I'm going to come in here and right above the origin, I'm going to draw another circle. And let's make that a diameter of, let's go about 10 or 12. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and use my trim tool so that I have just one profile. And notice that we are fully constrained by drawing it this way. I've got my origin or my center point for the place I want to give a little bit more meat, so I can draw a circle here. And then for a hanger, let's come back and draw another circle with maybe a 3 to 5 millimeter diameter. Depends how you want to hang this. If you want to hang this with a piece of fishing line, you could make it 2 or 3 millimeters. If you want to squeeze a piece of ribbon through there, you might want to make it 5 millimeters. Okay. So then we can go ahead and finish that sketch. Let's extrude our shape a distance of 0.125 inches, which will be the thickness of the wood that we're going to be using. Oh, but that was 0.125 inches, which I'm in millimeters. So actually, let's extrude that 3 millimeters. There we go. Okay, next, let's do a sketch on the face again. And here's where you're going to kind of customize this. Let's put and just eyeball a text box around the middle somehow. And just kind of eyeball what you want. And here you can put a name in there if you're making this for your mom, or you could put the year 2020. Whatever you want to put in there to customize it for a name. And then I made that a little bit bigger than needed to be. So I should be able to move this around and resize it. I do want to center it at the origin. I want to keep it symmetrical. So I'm going to go ahead and put some midpoints in on the sides. I already have a midpoint in the middle of my text box with Onshape. So that will allow me to center this up. I'm going to do a horizontal constraint there that you see that move down a little bit. And then let's do a vertical constraint between the midpoint of the top side and the midpoint of the origin. And now I can see my text is running into the outsides. So now I'm going to need to put some dimensions in there and get it sized. And I want my dimension to be inside of that circle so that it's, again, this is aesthetics. So you want it to look good, but not be too small. So let's try 50. And 50 looks like it's a little bit too small. So let's go 60. 60 looks good. Okay, so then we can finish our sketch. And we can extrude again. Let's pick our text to extrude. Let's make sure we get it at the same level. So I want to go back this time 3 millimeters. And you'll notice what that does is that creates a whole bunch of parts down here. And of course, what we need is we need these all to be connected. So what I'm going to do to get them connected, I'm going to just draw some rectangles to connect to them. So again, I'm going to do a sketch. I'm going to do a sketch on the face. And let's just kind of eyeball a rectangle. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than it needs to be. And then we'll come in and size it. And the one thing you got to be careful about is we don't want to be tangent to my letter O. I need to make sure I overlap all my letters. If you have a point of tangency, that's going to create something that it can't extrude. So I'm going to make sure I overlap all of that. And I'll draw a rectangle on the top and on the bottom. So I'm giving myself a baseline and a header line for this to connect somehow. Okay, so let's go back in and kind of resize this, and let's make that, say, 2 millimeters in height. Of course, that resized everything. So I could either put dimensions on there, or I could do coincident constraints. I'm going to take that bottom circle and put it out on, or the bottom endpoint and put it out on that circle. And let's put this on the circle as well, except it didn't like that, so let's undo that. Let's just drag it over and then do coincident constraint and put it on the circle. Okay, and now I want to move it down a little bit. And again, I need to make sure I'm overlapping with my letter O. If I'm tangent anywhere, it's going to cause a problem. So it doesn't really matter all that much. I think I can do a dimension between the top part and the bottom of my M. 0.1 millimeters. So that is overlapping at the top and the bottom. Okay. And then let's try to clean up this other one. I'm going to use an equals constraint to make that edge equal to that one. So that's going to make it tall enough. And this time for a coincident, I'm just going to take that point and put it on the circle over there. I'm going to get out of the tool. We'll stretch this out across. And again, let's put that point on the circle as well. Now we should be able to move it down. And let's see. Looks like I can use the same values. So I'm going to put a 0.1 millimeter overlap. That way nothing is tangent. We can now finish our sketch. And now we can extrude my rectangle at the top and the bottom, flip the direction, and go a distance of 3 millimeters. Okay, so at this point, I've got 6 parts here. And you may have more depending upon what your text is. But let's go ahead and just click and highlight and select all those parts and do a Boolean union. So that's going to combine all those parts now into one sketch. Okay, the thing that's nice about parametric modeling is I can go back and change the way my dimensions are done and make this look nicer. I just was kind of making this up, and as I look at this now, looks like the border around the outside is a little bit wide. And design like this is all about aesthetics and how it looks. So instead of 65 millimeters, I'm going to go back and make it 70. And I think that looks a little better. Another thing that's really important with your letters is we want things to be around 2 millimeters in thickness. Now here, as I measure the distance between those two, I see it's 1.95 is the minimum distance. So that's not too bad. It's a little under 2 millimeters. If we're one and a half, it's probably going to be okay if those lines are protected. And it's all about how it looks in aesthetics. But if I could go back and edit my text and make it bold, but I don't like the look of those bold letters quite as much. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. They're definitely, it's more substantial now, but I don't like the look of that. So I'm going to leave it at that 1.9 millimeters. And I do want to add a little bit more strength around the outsides. So of those letters. So we're going to protect those letters a little bit more. So I'm going to edit the previous sketch, and instead of going 2 millimeters, let's go say 3.5. Okay, so I think that looks a little bit better. Now we could kind of leave it like this, but it's kind of plain. So I want to dress this up a little bit, and we can do that in two ways. One, I could do a sketch on the face, fill in the sketch, and let's fill in one of those holes by adding to the part that's already there. And we want to add that 3 millimeters distance. Okay, so one thing I can do is add something that's already there, or fill in what's already there, and then cut away some type of geometric designs that I want to add into this. So I might want to do a polygon, and I can probably move this around here and adjust it, and maybe I want to put a star in there. So I'll do a 5. I'll do 5 stars. I did center the center of that star above the origin. So now I want to do 5 of those. Maybe I'll make that point also above the origin, so that starts to constrain it. And of course, the easiest way to draw a star is to connect the points of a pentagon. That's why I started with a pentagon. So I can quickly draw my star or other geometric design. And then I could go back and trim off what I don't want. Of course, this is not going to end up being fully constrained, but this is artistic. So you just got to be careful that you don't delete missing parts. But if I go ahead and delete all that, of course, it doesn't like now the hexagon is gone, but now I have my geometric design. I should be able to finish my sketch and extrude my star. And this time I want to do a cut through all. Okay, so very simply, add a star or what other geometric design you want, and you can cut things away. The other thing you can do is fill in with some type of geometric design. So let's do another sketch on that face. And this time I'm going to use the spline tool. And I'm just going to start to create some type of curve that is decorative. Double click to end the spline. So I have like a little curve there with a spline. Let's keep that going and draw I'm just going to kind of mirror those points a little bit, and it doesn't matter if they're slightly different in size and dimension. There's another one. And this is just up to your heart's desire, what you want to do. Double click to end a spline. Okay, so you could add whatever type of stripes with a spline, with lines, with other geometric shapes. And of course, again, we just want to extrude and make sure you add those parts so that they add to your design and don't take away. Okay, so very simple to come up with some type of ornament. I'm not really happy with my ribbon shapes at the bottom. I'd probably take a little bit more time customizing that to make that look a little better. Okay, so that's how you can customize very simply a bulb type of ornament.